Welcome to the League of Supermen.
Dean Cain.
Welcome to the League of Supermen.
Brandon Routh.
Welcome to the League of Supermen.
Dad, this is honestly like the best day of my whole life.
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
I hate this channel.
Hey there, I'm Infuso here in post. This is a new type of video that I'm trying out where I bring in one of my friends and we discuss our thoughts on, well, nerdy shit. How any of us ever got laid, I'll never know. But anyway, here it is and I hope you enjoy. So hey, I'm Infuso and here with me is ReyesWorldTV and we're here to bring you our 5 favorites, meaning mine and his, our 5 favorite Supermen. And I'll tell you what, we're gonna piss a couple people off because, let's face it, one way or another, for one reason or another, that's kind of what we do here. So, Reyes, why don't you start with your number 5 pick for the best Superman?
Alright, so my number 5, which is, I'm not gonna lie, it is a cop-out because I couldn't think of a 5th one. Okay. But the kid from Brightburn.
Okay, that is a cop-out because that does not count.
But realistically speaking...
No.
No. Hear me out. He might not...
Is his name Clark Kent?
Well, he could be.
No, it's not. His name is not Clark Kent.
We don't know his parents?
Right, yes we do. Listen, Brightburn does not count.
First of all...
Listen, Brightburn is a fan fiction that was turned into a movie.
He is an alien.
It's a great movie, by the way.
He is an alien that speaks that mumbo-jumbo, so his name is actually Kal-El.
No, that does not count.
Listen.
That is a cop-out.
Well...
That is a cop-out.
That is my cop-out, however...
That is my cop-out.
However...
That is my cop-out.
However, Brightburn pretty much got the whole almost like Superman formula, but in a horror-esque...
Superman formula. It's like a movie that's inspired by Superman.
Exactly.
But it's not Superman.
Well, that's my number 5.
No, it doesn't count. We'll skip here. I'll go to my number 5, which is... I'll tell you what. I'm going to combine my number 4 and 5 pick because I didn't feel comfortable doing this one way or another. My number 4 and 5 pick are Tim Daly and George Newbern. And both of them played Superman in Superman the Animated Series and Justice League. For the life of me, I probably should have researched this before I made this video, but one of them played it in one, the other one played it in the other.
Then there's no time to waste. Then there's no time to waste. Then there's no time to waste.
I think it's deer season.
Sorry, it's only open season on terrorists.
Forces mightier than you couldn't stop us.
Let me try. I'll be watching you, Luthor.
I have the power to do as I please.
And the responsibility to do what is right. As leader, you serve the people. They don't serve you.
Well, Lois, the truth is, I'm actually Superman in disguise, and I only pretend to be a journalist in order to hear about disasters as they happen and then squeeze you out of the byline.
I have fought hard over the years to earn your trust, and I solemnly swear to all of you that I will continue to uphold the ideals of truth and justice. Come and air your grievances at the World Assembly. Negotiate for peace.
You'd have me crawl to them like some beggar.
Stand before them like a king.
Pretty bad odds.
Yeah, they don't stand a chance. I just have to slow you down until the bomb blows. Hold that thought. Now, where were we?
The real test of honor isn't how you die. It's how you live.
And they both had the same portrayal of the character, and it was really... It was really sincere and modest and humble sounding, and yet at the same time, just serious. I felt like they got the really earnest parts of the character, and honestly, when I think of Superman, one of the first things I do think about is this interpretation of the character. And maybe that's because that's the version of the character I kind of grew up with. That's the version of the character I used to watch every day on TV. But the first thing I did, like, if you mentioned Superman, the visual I get is animated Superman. I think the character, the way they put it together, everything about this was everything Superman needs to be.
I agree.
You know, in hindsight, I actually like George Newbern's version of the character a little bit more. But the reason I rank them in the same spot is because while the two do have different sounding voices, they overall are the same portrayal of this character. They even deliver their lines in a very similar manner. And I get the feeling that both of these guys really understood what Superman stood for. Both come off as powerful and authoritative, while at the same time being easygoing and empathetic. I will say Clark Kent is a little bit underdeveloped, and like in the Reeves movies that I'll mention in a little bit, Clark Kent was solely a disguise, whereas Superman was shown to be the real person. I don't know, it's not a huge deal, but it just takes a little bit away from me. I can't put into words what makes these performances so great. I'm literally struggling to. But to tell you the truth, I really don't think I need to, because I'd like to think that the compilation kind of speaks for itself.
Then there's no time to waste.
Friend? Heroes? Friends.
Oh, okay, so who's your number 3 pick?
4.
No, this is 3 because Brightburn doesn't count.
But I have like 4 others left.
How do you have 4 others?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I have 4 others left.
I have 3 others. How's that possible?
Because you combined your 4th and...
But your last one was bullshit.
Alright. My number 4...
Okay.
...is Christopher Reeve.
Okay. Who is after him? Brightburn?
No.
Okay, go on. Let's start with Brightburn. Who's after Brightburn?
Christopher Reeve.
Good.
Which is number 4.
Okay.
So Christopher Reeve...
People are going to be pissed that he's so far down your list.
Well, I wasn't raised with Christopher Reeve. However, I will give him the respect that is respect due. And, he did what he could. Listen here, guys.
Okay.
Because I don't know how much I could say about this.
I don't like Christopher Reeve.
I don't really like Christopher Reeve.
Move this man!
He's
put him on your list.
He's on my list because I respect him enough because he was the first Superman. And a lot of people...
It's a matter of respect.
He gets the respect treatment. He deserves to be on the list. But I wasn't raised with that Superman. He's not Superman to me. To me, he's kind of corny.
Okay, it's a great time for me to talk about my next pick.
But, hold on. But... for people who were raised with Christopher Reeve, I could completely understand where you're coming from because you guys didn't have the other options that I did.
Oh, boy.
So, I respect it. So, now you can go.
My next pick is Christopher Reeve.
That was beautiful.
I think Christopher Reeve's Superman is absolutely iconic. I think he's the one who set the standard for a lot of people. And for a very long time, that was a hard standard to live up to. For so many people, he will always be Superman. He's their first memory of the character. He's the first person to really play the character on the big screen, at least. And, everyone fell in love with his portrayal. It's easy to see why.
Easy, miss. I've got you. Come on. It's all right. Here you go, miss.
Gee, thanks, mister.
Hi there. Something wrong with the elevator? Going down.
Why are you here? There must be a reason for you to be here.
Yes. I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
Good evening, Officer Mooney. Well, they say confession's good for the soul. I'd listen to this man.
He was noble, kind-hearted, good-spirited. He was more powerful than any man who stood before him, and wise beyond his years. And despite this version of the character always had an identifiable human quality to him. He has more powers than God himself, and still, he can somehow be vulnerable. or even downright afraid. This was an incredible performance during a time where cape wearers were seen as campy or cartoonish. I mean, don't get me wrong, these movies do get zany, especially the later ones. But Superman himself, as well as the rest of the main cast, stand out from their cartoon world and seem like real people. Even though the series kinda went downhill as it went on, even in his goofiest moments, Reeve never comes off as anything but genuine in his approach to the character. And look, if you're holding a piece of kryptonite to my head and asking me to find a flaw, the one thing I will say that I always had some issue with is Clark Kent. I mean, there's nothing wrong with how he portrays him, being that the Clark Kent that works at the Daily Planet is a shy, dorky, timid wallflower who's really just trying to do his best to fit in and avoid any suspicion of possibly being the red-blue blur. And Reeves does a really good job at that. It makes sense to me. But these movies never showcased who Clark Kent really was. I get it that people see Clark Kent as the disguise, but he was Clark Kent before he was Superman. It wasn't always a disguise. And to be fair, that has a lot less to do with Reeve himself and more to do with how these movies are written, but that's just my take. I think he did a phenomenal job. He seemed to have a lot of love for the role. He came back to do 4 movies. You know, and truth be told, when watching these movies, he really does make you believe a man can fly. Also, I gotta give the man credit because not only did he define the character for future generations, but he also happily passed the torch years later to one of those future generations.
This is Kal-El of Krypton, our infant son, our last hope.
Fathers often want futures that their sons reject. That struggle is as old as the human race.
And if you feel he's too low on my list, maybe he is. Because I'll be honest with you, my top 3 picks for Superman, they change order at random. I like them all. They're all, to me, amazing interpretations of the character, and I really can't pick one over the other, so I guess my whole list is just kind of a cop-out. But it's okay, because at least I'm in good company with Reyes over here. Go ahead, who's next for you?
My number 3 is Brandon Routh.
Okay.
I was looking at you to confirm if I said that right.
Yep, Brandon Routh. Because you love Superman Returns.
No.
Wrong!
I like Brandon Routh strictly because of the whole Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff.
It's actually one of the least insane things I've ever heard.
And the only reason why is because simply I did not like him in Superman Returns. I felt like he didn't have that oomph that I like in Superman. But with this, I see like he matured, his acting got better, and like I was just like so sold. It was at the point where I was watching the episode and I was like, is this the same guy from Superman Returns? Like, and I was just like blown away, like how well he really was, honestly. Mm-hmm. So, Brandon Routh definitely put on the list. Full respect. It's at the point where like if we need another Superman for live action, we have options.
All right, so my number 2 pick is Brandon Routh, and like let me first defend him on Superman Returns. Even before the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, I did not hate his portrayal of the character. I thought it was okay. It wasn't great. I don't know that he would have made my top 5 Supermen. I think he was a little bit underrated. But I also think that he wasn't really given the chance to play his version of the character. Like, he could never come up with what he interpreted the character to be because Bryan Singer and the people who made that movie were really obsessed with making him Christopher Reeve Superman. So I think his greatest downfall was they asked him to play who was the most well-known and beloved version of the character, just do that over, and he obviously couldn't do it the exact same way that Christopher Reeve did. And I think he struggled because of that. Also, he was pretty young at the time. I think he was only like 23 when that movie came out. So he was like a relatively young actor to have such a huge role. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, he's smurfing great. He's a much more seasoned actor, and therefore we get a much more seasoned, especially in the hair region, Superman.
I agree.
I think that he has this wholesomeness and this just seemingly endless supply of hope as the character that, it's just like, that's Superman.
Put this on. This crest. I made a promise to keep fighting no matter what.
I know this sounds insane, but you might be the key to saving the multiverse.
It's actually one of the least insane things I've ever heard. Hi there, handsome guy.
Hey, why'd you add black to it?
Because, Lois, even in the darkest times, hope cuts through. Hope is the light that lifts us out of darkness.
You know, he's a hero in every meaning of the word. I don't know, he kind of embodies what I see on the comic book pages when he plays the character.
I was gonna say, he looks pretty much like Superman.
He looks like Kingdom Come Superman in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah,
but...
he looks like Superman.
And you know what, I'll be honest with you, it might have been cheaper made, but I think it looked better than the Superman Returns Superman. Suit-wise. I think it was a better suit.
I would have to compare suits. I can't agree nor deny.
Oh, well, I think it was a better suit. Anyway, Brandon Routh really... I can't get over how his, 2 episodes in the Crisis event just... I think it completely revitalized, everyone's opinions on him as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
For years it was Brandon Routh sucked as Superman, and I know that his career kind of, I don't want to say failed, because it definitely did.
It took a hit.
It took a hit, yeah, it took a hit for a while because he played that character.
Yeah.
And people felt he didn't do it justice, and I think he completely redeemed himself.
Yeah, 100%.
And people knew that he was a good actor because he was playing the Atom on the show, and everyone loved his work as the Atom. I put him as my second favorite Superman of all time. That's how good he was in these 2 episodes.
Well, I could tell you my second favorite Superman.
Go ahead.
Tom Welling.
Okay, wow.
So Tom Welling is relatively new to me because I didn't grow up watching Smallville.
You were just introduced to Smallville.
Yeah. However, something that V doesn't know, I saw a quick 2-minute compilation of Tom Welling's acting of Superman in Smallville.
Okay.
And that's what made me put it so high up, because at first I wasn't convinced. I thought he was a little doofy looking, to be honest. But then...
I just want to put a picture of you and Tom Welling side by side. I thought he was doofy looking as you doing the Ethan face from 8th Street.
But Tom Welling definitely took some time to marinate into me. And...
to marinate into me.
Oh, I'm thinking about food right now. It took some time for me to accept him as a Superman. And then once I saw him also on Crisis of Infinite Earths, I got excited. I was yeah, we have Superman in here. So he definitely deserves the second spot.
And then when I watched it, I was really disappointed.
But yeah, that's my second for Superman's.
So a 2-minute compilation of Tom Welling won you over.
Yeah.
And before I go on to give you my number 1, let me just give you a couple honorable mentions. These guys I thought deserved some credit. These are guys who didn't quite make my top 5, but I think they deserve some kind of mention, and here they are. Dean Cain. Dean Cain looks the part. He has the charm, the natural charisma, and overall likability you'd expect to find in a Superman. Even his voice is just a good fit for the character. The only reason I can't include him on my list officially is because I've only seen clips of the show Lois and Clark, and I'm not all that familiar with his work as the character, but from what I have seen, I like him. I like him. Henry Cavill. Let me make this clear. I do not at all dislike Henry Cavill as Superman. As a matter of fact, in a lot of ways, I feel like he actually is the right choice. He's a guy who looks the part, can even sound the part, and at times acts the part very well. But unfortunately, the writing and retooling of his character severely holds his performance back. If he was written to be the Red Blue Boy Scout that society has come to know and love, there's no doubt in my mind that he would absolutely make it somewhere on my top 5. But unfortunately, he's a poorly written, inconsistent mess of a Superman. Tyler Hoechlin. Okay, I'll admit it. When I first saw Tyler Hoechlin as Superman, I didn't get it. He seemed a little too short and a little too scrawny to be given this role. Of course, that's only appearance-wise, so I didn't judge too harshly. Hell, I actually like Val Kilmer's Batman, and to my knowledge, Bruce has never been a blonde. So when I finally saw Tyler Hoechlin's performance, it didn't really catch my attention, and I wasn't all that invested in his first couple appearances in Supergirl. But I'll be real with you, the guy's starting to win me over. I think he's really got the mannerisms and the personality down as both Clark Kent and the Man of Steel. But I will admit that he's been shown to be somewhat ineffective. I don't know what it is. It just, thus far, it hasn't translated into this heroic performance that I think a lot of people are anticipating anytime someone puts on the red cape. So as of me writing this right now, it's alright. It's not great, but it's alright. I can't in good faith put him in my top 5. But being as he's the current Superman, I can only hope that that changes over time. And with the new show Superman and Lois coming out, there's plenty of time for him to get comfortable in the role and for writers to further develop the character. Let's hope they do. So my number 1 pick for Superman is Tom Welling. To me, I just think the guy was a perfect Superman in all ways, shapes, and forms. What I always loved about Tom Welling as Superman is that, like, you're seeing him develop, like you're seeing the person who's going to become Superman develop. Like, you can see where a lot of his morality and his virtues come from. You know what I mean? And, like, I just thought he had such a great chemistry with everybody on that show. Even with Lex Luthor, like, the relationship with Lex and Clark, you know, I wasn't sold at first, like, oh, they're friends, like, that's stupid. And then I saw the way they did it, and it was like, oh, it was great. Tom Welling is Superman for me. In the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, Brandon Routh's Superman is the paragon of hope.
Wrong!
For me, that's what Tom Welling was as Superman. He was a paragon of hope. You know what I mean? Like he really, you could totally see this guy going on to become this hero that people idolized and praised. He came across as a really selfless human being. He would do anything for Lana or Chloe or even Pete.
And I'll always be there to stop you. Always.
It may not be perfect, but I believe even in the darkest soul there's always hope. People want to believe in something greater. And it may be easier to hate, but it's stronger to love.
I think that it's a real shame that he never wore the goddamn suit. That's my one big discrepancy. He still makes number 1 despite that, but 10 years, Tom. I waited 10 years. That's a decade for you to put that goddamn suit on. And you came back all these years later. And you still didn't do it.
Well, my number 1 pick for the best Superman.
Brightburn.
No.
Swerve.
Is Henry Cavill.
Of course it is.
A.K.A.
Of course it is.
Geralt of Rivia.
Oh my god.
My man.
I do not understand your obsession with him as Superman. I don't think he's a bad pick.
Alright, let me explain this. Henry Cavill is perfect.
I don't think so.
Henry Cavill not only looks like Superman facially.
He does look like Superman.
Not only looks like Superman built wise.
Sure. I'll give you that. I grant you that.
The man can act.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
I am convinced whenever that man's on screen that is Superman.
I'll surrender. But only if you guarantee Lois's freedom.
Civil liberties are being trampled on in your city. Good people living in fear.
A little hypocritical, considering every time your hero saves a cat out of a tree, you read a puff piece editorial.
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
But if I win, you're off the team.
You're scared of me because you can't control me. You don't. And you never will. But that doesn't mean I'm your enemy.
I see him in that suit.
I
cleanly
don't disagree with any of what you've said so far.
I see him in that suit, cleanly shaved, and I'm like, this person of, you know, not mortalness is Superman.
See, here's my problem. Like, I agree with everything you just said, but where he loses numbers and points with me is that he doesn't act like Superman. But that's not entirely his fault. The way he's written is inconsistent. Like in Man of Steel, he's all broody and angry. Batman vs Superman, all broody and angry. They make Justice League, and they were like, Superman was a symbol of hope. It's like, that's bullshit. Okay? In the comics, yes. In your movies, no. You did not do that. I don't care that you put in a cell phone video of Superman with his non-existent mustache talking to two kids. That does not change the fact that you made Superman a angry prick for two movies straight, and now you want to act like he's the same.
He wasn't that angry.
He kind of was.
No, he wasn't.
If you rewatch the movie,
I did rewatch the movie. He's really not.
He really is.
He's not as angry as you say he is.
He 100% is. You also don't like the Superman comics or stuff like that, or like you're not in depth with it.
I'm not as knowledgeable.
You said that Henry Cavill was your introduction to Superman.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying is that like so no matter what I say, your first impression of Superman is Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
So you're gonna have that impression.
It's perfect.
But if you look at all these other versions of Superman, like Tom Welling, for example, there's not that like bitterness that there is with, and it's not Henry Cavill's fault.
See, that's the thing.
It's the way he's written.
I'm able to
don't write him.
I'm able to separate it.
They don't. Well, I'm just explaining.
Yeah,
overall. I'm talking about an overall.
I understand, but if we're talking about like Superman, like for instance, if they
we're talking about which actors playing Superman are closer to being Superman.
I still like Henry Cavill the best.
I do not.
Because I like that version of Superman. I like the fact...
that's not Superman.
It's my Superman. Hashtag my Superman.
Hashtag not my Superman.
Hashtag my Superman. But Henry Cavill's just so good.
Henry Cavill's good.
Henry Cavill...
It's not...
Like,
the same thing with Ben Affleck, I told you. I like him as the character. What I don't like about him playing the character is not his fault. It's the fault of writing.
Can we just also appreciate how jacked Henry Cavill got just to play Superman?
I'm not saying he's not dedicated. It's the problems with the character are not his fault.
No, I know, but I'm just saying in general. Like that's why I love. Like to me, visualization is always an important factor for comic book heroes. Like, I'm not saying. Like, for instance, like, if we're talking about Batman, I'm not saying Batman has to be the most jacked guy in the world, but, like, Ben Affleck was pretty jacked to play Batman. Henry Cavill looked like a smurfing god when he put on that suit. Like, he literally looked like he could break Jaws in 2 seconds.
Oh, I bet he would have broke yours, but...
He did.
I don't know if it would be with his fists. Henry Cavill was a god.
He pretty much looked like a god in a nutshell.
I just feel like you go to sleep every night and pray to Henry Cavill.
Hail, Superman, wearing tights, Clark Kent be thy name. One nation under Zod.
Dear Henry, it's me, Reyes. I don't know if you get my prayers.
But please don't give up on Superman, please.
Like I said, the problem with the character isn't his fault.
No, I get...
He's a good...
I get he's not the perfect, ideal Superman, but I'm telling you right now...
The way he's written.
Get someone who knows Superman by heart, write the script, cast Henry Cavill, that's your Superman. That's perfect Superman.
I don't think for me he wouldn't match up to Tom Welling. But I do...
Henry Cavill literally takes his pinky and could break Tom Welling in half.
Okay, listen. I'm supposed to give you a ride home after this. So I would stop talking if I were you.
No, alright, let me stop.
Oh man, I just backed up and I forgot Reyes was under the car.
I think also what adds on to the Henry Cavill love is that also he does play Geralt Rivia.
Right, which you love.
And I've read the first book of The Witcher, and I'm just like, this man's perfect. Like, he doesn't do anything wrong.
I don't think he's coming back to Superman.
That would be DC's fault. The thing is that, like, when I first was, like, I was introduced to, like, Christopher Reeve, Superman Returns, I'm like, these, like, not to pull a Vince McMahon, but I was like, these scrawny dudes... These scrawny guys are playing Superman. Because the thing, to me, like, Superman is this...
That is a visible.
There's a lot of beef out here.
To me, Superman is this jacked alien dude who could literally do anything. So, that's why...
See, here's my thing. I'm not going to say that, like, Superman has to be jacked, if only because...
I'm saying Superman has to be jacked.
Hear me out.
Can't be that scrawny thing from...
Why can't he?
Unless he wants to play the scrawny thing from Flashpoint Paradox, well, he only knows like one word.
No. I'm saying
friends.
Like what? Well, okay, but you saw that Superman could still.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because he's Superman. So I'm saying
because he gets power from the sun.
But that's what I'm saying is that I don't think he needs to be the most jacked guy.
I'm not saying he has to.
I mean, ideally, yes, but like I'm saying, like if I saw a good Superman performance and the dude wasn't jacked, but he personified Superman in every other way, I'd be okay with it because, like in my mind, Superman was born with basically super strength when he's on Earth.
Oh yeah, no, of
so
course.
Like it doesn't matter what he physically looks like.
But to me,
it's viable that he'd be able to do that.
To me, if you want a good representation of Superman, the dude needs to be jacked.
Okay.
Like I'm not saying he has to be John Cena status, but like he needs to be Henry Cavill status.
I'm surprised John Cena's never tried out to play Superman.
I don't know. We're getting off track. Henry Cavill, best Superman ever. R.I.P. to DC for being
Smurfing
idiots and not utilizing him more.
All right, well you're wrong, but it's okay. So that was for our money, the best Superman. So
Henry Cavill.
You're wrong. So with that being said, I'm the Infuso. This is ReyesWorldTV with me.
Yeah, boy.
And if you want to help, me out and help out, Reyes too, you can comment and let Reyes know what he got wrong and how wrong he was. Because he needs to learn, even if it's this painful way, publicly. V back here in post again, and let me say I know the audio needs to improve. Me and Reyes were unfortunately stuck using one microphone at the time to capture both of our voices. That's why it's a little bit scratchy here and there. And if I sound a little dead inside, it's because I was. It was recorded at 12 in the morning. And ironically, this post message is being recorded at 1 in the morning, several weeks later. And I'm an old man, so nighttime hours had very much become my kryptonite. See what I did there? Anyway, because we were so tired, this was by far the worst sit down that we recorded. So me being the rocket surgeon that I am, I decided that our first impression should be our worst impression. Because there's really nowhere to go from here except for up, up, and away. I'm sorry. I'll stop talking now.
I'm the Clown Prince of Crime, and that was the Prince of Personality, the Infuso, or so he says. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole and you too want to become a V-tard, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the man on Twitter, because it's not stalking if it's on the internet after all. Join the fun by joining the Discord. If for some strange reason you want to show support, and I don't know why you would, and if you have $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, where you can request videos, get exclusive content, and early access to scheduled videos. Or head to his PayPal, where you can buy the shirts. Oh, aren't those lovely? And just remember, if you're not tuning in, you're missing out. Yeah. Ah!